Welcome back. Voymonk's video voiceover. And I was thinking, you know what? I'm not going to actually give these a number or a timestamp or anything like that because separate from my vlogs that I feel are a daily kind of journalish type of just my daily experience living life, these are more laid back. These are more just me giving you what I want to give you in the same vein. Like I said, this is all organic and just me, but this is going to be a little bit less about the charting my progress for myself and how I do these in my vlogs and keeping them short enough to where people can just digest them and decide if they want more. This is the more. So I'm not going to timestamp these. I'm not going to do anything in terms of probably less organized. Yeah, probably a little bit less organized. Vlogs will be a little bit more organized, just not edited, just like these aren't edited. And this is coming off of just what's going on with me. For this one, I think I want to pretty much say this is my creative process, me explaining that a bit. And, maybe if you're listening to this, you can share maybe your creative process when you're putting things together. Me, I just like to get it all out there. I'm the type of person that I think and feel I'm more, and I'm also more hands-on in terms of my approach of how I tackle things. And so for me, maybe it's my ADHD, maybe it's just part of my personality in other ways, who knows? But for the most part, I like to put things out there and get what's in here out there, either before I forget, which often happens, especially if I'm in sometimes even the more engaging conversations or whatever in my personal life, which doesn't happen very often these days, but it happens. And so, like I said, as far as the creative process, I think just getting it out there, taking it apart, putting it in front of you and seeing what pieces that you have to work with, and then try to figure out how you're going to put them together in what way. And then I think, honestly, for me, as this being a bit of an exercise that I've practiced, going all the way back to, went to school for radio broadcasting, and even before that, when I interned, it was always something as far as the production side of that sort of thing was a thing that I always did because for me, I guess it was just a thing that I learned best by doing. I learned best by figuring things out. I mean, I'm the kind of person that if I got something to put together like a desk at IKEA, which I've never done, I'm going to probably look at the diagram and then I'm probably going to head all the way in just to figure it out. And maybe I'm not so completely alone in that approach, but, for maybe others, structure is a little bit more important. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's not something that I do, mostly because, and it's maybe something I should learn to undo or maybe find a different approach. I don't know. Just usually for me, when it comes to the creative juices, I just got to get it all out there. And so part of me building this channel is going to be that. And I think part of the fun can be from listening to this is maybe you listen and you laugh. Maybe you listen and you roll your eyes. Maybe you listen and go, ugh, or that was okay. Or, that wasn't so great. And, if you got some thoughts, that's all right. Try to please keep them constructive. I don't, I'm not looking here to be roasted we called it capping back in high school. I'm not looking to facilitate drama either. Just having fun, experiencing life, and sharing that. So, like I said, when it comes to being creative, to me, that process means taking a swing, trying to see what works and what doesn't, and getting a real, genuine feel for how that and what that looks like. And so that's a lot of what you're going to see and hear me doing with this channel over time. The overall goal is that as I do these things, as I keep applying that practice, that discipline, and coming into focus, these get better not only for myself, but for you listening. And hopefully that will, lead to a bigger channel. I don't want to start off polished. I don't want to start off as though I'm better than anyone else, or that, this, however far I get with this, isn't a result of me really putting my heart and effort into this. And so, part of that's going to be growing pains. I'm going to make mistakes, as, anyone does. The things that I won't change about this channel is that I will never come up on here and say things that are going to get enough to get an effect. I won't clickbait anything. I won't present myself as living a life that I'm not. I'm not necessarily going to always be as open on everything all at once without there being at least some reason or rhyme for it, in terms of it's something that I'm comfortable with and something that I feel I've established at least a little bit of a foundation and some history first. So, everything you take on the internet is with a grain of salt. And of course, you should always trust but verify. That's a saying that I don't remember where I got it from, but I definitely like trust but verify. I don't know what much verifying you need from here. This is just for fun. This is just for sharing. This is just to enjoy life and not really be about putting on a performance or trying to be famous or fleece others for money. None of those things are going to happen here. Would I like for it to be successful and make money that I could live on? Sure, that'd be great. I would enjoy that. I would be immensely happy. Does this need to be the most listened to YouTube? Do I need to have a movie, radio, or TV deal? I said radio as though this is the 1930s, but yeah, like I said, as long as I'm happy with the engagement that I have and that I'm doing here, I'm fine. I'm happy. And, in terms of money, I'm not greedy, and I'm not going to ever become greedy. Like I said, I'm grateful, and I'm happy to get the blessings if I'm able to get them. But nothing in terms of there'll never be any preaching on here. I will never tell you what to think or learn or how to do anything in life. I have no advice to give. I'm not an expert on anything. I'm just here because I enjoy this. So, don't be dismayed if sometimes I cover some of the same things that I've talked about before, especially as this starts. And if I make mistakes or go, didn't you mention this in a vlog? Those things are going to happen because while I plan on structuring this, and I am structuring this and being more organized, it's never going to be perfect. So just keep that in mind, because like I said, that's how my creativity works. But as I get better at doing this, speaking, talking, having better access, maybe getting equipment, maybe learning new things that I didn't know, on top of that will be the content. And it'll probably get a bit more crisp, more clear, more defined, more specific. But hopefully that's going to come from a genuine interest from others, as it is a genuine interest for me and a passion for me to put this content and make it available. So, yeah, that's my part of my creative process, even if you've done this before. Yeah, I know. But as I go forward, like I said, gonna be more organized. And like I said, this is just bonus stuff. This is stuff that doesn't go in a vlog, doesn't have to be a timestamp. even those don't have to be. But, it's just me doing what I love to do, which is talk, which is to connect with others and share my life experiences. And, yeah, a little bit longer than what a vlog would be as well. This is the additional content. And so, yeah. But this is November 16th when I'm recording this. And as far as the time in life that we're doing, and I also thought about doing a diary. And so, well, what is the difference between a diary and a vlog? Well, I think a diary would be a little bit more personal. Vlogging is me just sharing my experiences in obviously a personal way, but I think a diary would be a little bit more personal. I might talk a little bit more about me specifically, but I've got to decide on how in a way that I would do that is both comforting and comfortable for me, and also something I think would be of interest to anybody else. And I think the vlogging and the video voiceovers are good enough right now. And then when I do the video content, brace yourself, I guess. But yeah, as far as where I'm at right now, it is a Saturday. I've been through several weeks with my mom. I'm not going to go into her specifics, but she's going through radiation at the moment, and so that, if you've ever been through that, you've ever known anyone who's gone through that, it's a once a day, weekly type of thing, and it's something. But I feel blessed. I feel God's love and looking over us. So in terms of her health, in terms of where we're at, there's lots of challenges, lots of things in terms of things that are scary, things that are whatever. But I think more about her than I really do about myself. But considering this thing that she's going through, it's not great. It's not good news, but it's not as worse or as bad as some others. But it's still, you never want to put your you never want to put your carriage before the horse. You never want to count your chickens before they've hatched. A lot of I'm full of a lot of stupid stupid sayings that I'll get wrong. It's mostly because I'm just expressing myself, and just this is being a part of that bonus content. But yeah, so obviously I'm not going to get into the thing that's really on everybody's mind right now, which is, if this is November and you're listening to this in 2024, I think you can figure it out. And, I don't necessarily have a problem with certain kinds of conversation and things like that. It's just that so much of it can just get away from other things, and it sometimes can get away from other things in terms of life itself, so much to a degree that we forget to live life itself. We rush through to get to the next thing, and I think sometimes that's because it's manipulated. And when I say manipulated, I don't mean a conspiracy theory, blah, blah, blah. What I mean is basically that it's the nature of the beast, so to speak. There's a cost and there's a consequence, and there is a price to pay for everything, whether it's in blood, whether it's in time, or it's in money. That's just how I feel. Now, everyone's got different opinions. I'm not saying what you have to believe, or, pontificating or preaching to you, but that's how I feel. Of course I'm nervous. Of course I'm scared. Of course I'm worried about the world in the state of it as we go forward. But, those are some things that, quite frankly, I think have been covered quite extensively in a lot of other places as well. I think there's always a lot of places, at least right now, that you can talk about a lot of things in terms of just the things that are just the most popular in whatnot. But I'd rather talk about what's interesting and what is popular in terms of interest as far as just enjoying and living life and sharing love and passion. That's what I would like to do. So when I'm doing this, I'm sharing my life, but I'm also sharing my passions. I'll also share my frustrations. I'll share my reviews, my criticisms, probably my worries as well. From time to time, probably more times than maybe other times, hopefully. But yeah, I think that's okay. We're living in a time period that there's so much out there. So much out there to be engaged with and to be pulled into. And I've been well past the point where I'm just I don't want to be influenced. And I don't want to influence others in terms of what they've got to do or what I think or they think I think they ought to do or should do. That's not my thing. It isn't. I love music. I love 80s and 90s music. I love 80s and 90s TV and movies. I like talking about Star Trek. I love talking about, sometimes greater mysteries. I used to be, well, I say used to be because he's no longer around, but I used to be a big Art Bell fan. And Coast to Coast, and then, of course, Midnight in the Desert before he passed. And there were some interesting things. I'm not talking about conspiracy theories and stuff like that, but just, slight musing, stuff that doesn't necessarily have to do with the conventional, but at the same time, not stuff that's so completely off the rails that, it's just... How do I put it? Not everything can be fun or funny. I also don't want to, lean into that either. I'm not a comedian. I'm not saying things can't be funny, but I think sometimes the harder you try, especially if you're after an effect, all right, that it's anything but funny or humorous to me. And sometimes even if it is humorous or funny, it just seems like sometimes a distraction. I'm kind of weird that way. I think sincerity can come in many different forms, but I think it has to come from a genuine and insincere nature, first off, whether it's comedy or anything else. And, being aware of your surroundings and in entertainment, it's called being aware of your audience, but there is a bit of a subtle manipulation with that, which is kind of sometimes a bit why I'm shy, and it probably gives me the most nerves when it comes to this. I don't ever want to touch or cross that threshold either. That's why I don't give advice. That's why I'm not here to tell other people what to do, because I don't need to be manipulated. I don't. So I don't want to be manipulating other people. And I don't think life needs to be about that to get people to care about things that they're interested in and have a passion for. There's a place for everything, and everything has its place, certainly. But that's just not something that I have a place for here. Here it's about fun, interest, sharing life. And yeah, and right now my life is difficult. I'm going through with my mother, who's more importantly going through a situation that is very delicate. And like I said, she's the most important person to me in the world, and I love her. And I tell you right now, man, I wouldn't give $1 billion for her and the experience I've had being her son, warts and all. And so that, to me, is being rich. That to me is what's important in life. That's the thing I'd rather expound on. Not only here in my life on this end, but if I can extend that part of myself into this, that's great. And so, like I said, in building a community, yeah, that's what I'm talking about, Willis. Okay, I made a little bit of a Different Strokes reference to any of the extras that could be or maybe would be listening. I don't know. I'm really quite interested in finding out if there's any extras out there and finding some more that might just not be enthralled or engulfed in a lot of other things that just don't mind coming on here, maybe talking about their lives and their passions and their inspirations and their favorites when it comes to, like, very, very things that we have in common, like 80s music and songs and art and just everything. So yeah, that's going to do it for this Voymonk video voiceover. And I thank you for listening if you have. And I've spent this afternoon on the 16th of November really just putting together content that I really enjoy and having a way to do this. Yeah, like I said, I think my next step from here is to get a bit more organized. And I've talked about that in my Voymonk video voice over updates. If you get a chance, check that out. So, but until next time, take care.